Hello and welcome. Today I would like to share with you a thought, and again it's something that I think that is really important, especially for organizations. Here it is. Many times as a workplace learning professional, we go in to do training interventions for organizations. One of the questions that is often asked by the sponsors of this training is how can we measure the impact of this training? And trainers have spent time in the study of adult learning and in the concepts and all the work that is done in workplace learning around the concepts of measuring the return on investments on training, measuring the impact of training. Now, here's what I think, and here's what I think from many years of practice, many years of reflection. I think that when it comes to measuring the ROI, the impact of sales training, I think it's easy. It's very clear, isn't it, that if salespeople need to be better at selling and you offer them sales training, you can measure the return on investment on that sales training by just gauging whether or not the sales figures increased. So that's a no-brainer. But here's the challenge. How do you measure the impact? How do you measure the ROI of training on behavior, on leadership, on soft skills, on communication skills? How do you measure the ROI? Here's what I think. I think that trainers, consultants, workplace learning professionals, HR managers, sponsors of training projects in organizations, I think that with due respect, perhaps we are focusing on the wrong thing. I think that trying to measure the ROI of behavior-related training may just be an effort in futility. And here's what I think. I think that rather than try to measure ROI, we should try to do our very best to create change. We should try to do our very best to ensure that when people get into the classroom to learn better behavior, to learn leadership skills, to learn influence, to learn to communicate, to learn to delegate, some of these softer issues around behavior. When people get into the classes to learn these things, it is our responsibility as project sponsors, as leaders, managers of these people, supervisors of these people, HR people, it is our collective responsibility to ensure that change happens. A lot of times people ask, Gbitse, how do we measure the ROI? You know what I tell them? I tell them that you have designed the training. You have created a context and the environment of training that does not allow or encourage people to change their behavior. If you want to measure the ROI, I can tell you up front what the ROI is. The ROI is zero. Because the only ROI that matters is when people change behavior. And if your leadership model, if the system of performance management in your organization does not help to ensure that somebody has just come from, let's say, a leadership training, and there is nothing in that environment, his line manager doesn't ask him, how was the training? What were your key learnings? What is your commitment? What commitments are you prepared to make as a result of this training? And the line manager doesn't sit with the person and measure and track and put all these expectations into some form of a performance contract. If your style of leadership in your organization, if your performance management system doesn't challenge people who have gone for behavioral related training to make commitments, to pursue projects, to close on those projects, to do things that will actually allow them to practice the skills, the new behaviors they have learned. And there is no system for tracking and managing and measuring this. Ladies and gentlemen, here's my shocking thought. The ROI will always be zero. The ROI, I can tell you up front, that if you do not create a training environment and system that really ensures that training continues after the classroom, that learning is beyond a workshop or an e-learning module, and that line managers take responsibility for ensuring that the things that people learned are converted into positive change and action that can be seen and measured. I can tell you that whatever formula you like, ROI will always be zero. Let me shed some more light on this. Think about somebody, and I want us to draw a parallel here, and I want us to do some kind of a comparison. So think about somebody who, think about yourself, and you need to change your software. Think maybe you are in a bank, or you're an accountant, and you're going to implement a new software, either a banking software or an accounting software, okay? And you ask your team of accountants or bankers to travel abroad. Let's say we go to India, software capital of the world, and you go to India and you go on a training on that new software. You send 5 people, you sponsor 5 members of your team on a training on new software, accounting or banking software. Now, what do you think is going to happen when they come back? What do you tell them? Immediately they come back, you tell them 2 things. Number 1, you've got to show me the skills you have learned. Show me how we're going to reconfigure our accounting system. Show me how you're going to reconfigure our banking system. Isn't that it? Then you would challenge them and ensure that, we've got a deadline of October 1st to deliver this new banking system. We have a deadline of September 30th to deliver a new accounting system. And what are you going to do? You're going to project manage them every step of the way. You're going to say, level 1, what have we implemented? Level 2, any issues? Level 3, what do we need to do? Level 4, are we testing, isn't it? And at some point you will tell them, okay, so level 5, we need to train other people because you are like a super user. You've gone to India, you've got to the training, now you've got to come back and touch base with everybody and train other people around, isn't it? And then what do you think is going to happen? You will tell them that, look, in fact, your performance assessment for the year, your performance, your KPIs, your key performance indicators are that you must deliver this software by the 30th of September. That's the kind of discipline that goes into the investment that you have made in training somebody on a new accounting software. Why do you go through all this discipline? Why do you follow up on the person? Why do you ensure the person trains other people? Why do you write it into his performance contract? You do these things, ladies and gentlemen, leaders out there, we do it because we want to ensure that the new accounting software works. That on the 1st of October, there's a new system, it works, they know how to use it, it is fully integrated with your own processes, and guess what? Everybody else around knows how to use it. Now, where am I going? And if you've been following, you'll get my point. Why is it, therefore, leaders out there, as you listen to this tape, as you watch this video, why is it that when your subordinates go for a leadership training, why is it that when your subordinates go for a training on communication skills, why don't you, once they come back into the office, ask them, Tunde, I want you to outline your key learnings from your leadership skills training. I understand that, one of the skills you learned was that you learned about relationships and how to build relationships with your subordinates. So Tunde, here's the challenge. Tunde, I want you to draw up a plan for how you're going to build relationships with Mary, with Biodu, with Akin, and with Hawa. And I want to monitor how you build those relationships with Hawa, with Biodu, with Akin. And after 3 months, I want to see tangible changes in the quality of that relationship because I'm going to be speaking one-on-one with those people. And I want to see the atmosphere in the office is a lot better and people are relating and working better. And if there are no improvements, I'm going to deduct marks on your performance appraisal because I am writing these commitments to improve the quality of relationships in the office inside your performance contract. Why doesn't this happen? Because that's exactly what is required to ensure that an accounting software is in place by 30th September. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the exact same thing that is required to ensure that when you send somebody, when you sponsor one of your subordinates, one of your junior leaders on a leadership program, leadership training, even from the best in the world, is no silver bullet. It's not going to solve all the problems overnight. It's not going to be a miracle cure. You know how I know this? Because people go to even church on Sunday, hear from God himself about why they shouldn't sin, why they shouldn't fornicate, why they shouldn't commit adultery. But guess what? Less than 24 hours later, they are fornicating and committing adultery. There is much more than is required than to just preach to people that they should change their behavior, that they should be better leaders. Leaders need to take responsibility for ensuring that they monitor the learnings of their cohorts who go for training. They sit with them, understand the commitments that they are prepared to make, support them in making these commitments, monitor and track their progress as they make and continue to sustain these commitments, help them when they backslide. And that's what you do. That's what leaders do. If you fail to do these things, here's my point. If you fail, if you come back from leadership training and you say you want to measure the ROI of leadership, but you have no intention of doing some of these things and much more, I can tell you what the ROI is. The ROI, ladies and gentlemen, is zero. What does it take to ensure that learning creates an impact? The answer is leadership. Leaders recognize the importance of their role in ensuring that the people that they lead can change from one place to another, can move from being poor communicators to being great communicators, can move from being poor influencers to being great influencers. One training program isn't going to change it. John Maxwell explains in the law of process that leadership develops daily and not in a day. One day, one silver bullet. You're joking. If you really want your leaders to imbibe leadership skills, then you must be committed. If you want to measure ROI, then you must be prepared to lead, drive, monitor, and ensure that leaders change. Thank you.